For all. It's the podcast with Comedian Nazareth.
Well, hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and thank you so much for joining me for episode number 171. So, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and hopefully, we get to hear from some of you. If you want to comment, our guest tonight is comedian Joby Saad. He'll be with us in a few minutes, and it was my mistake. I thought Nashville is 3 hours away from 3 hour difference. It's on Eastern time, but they are in Central time. So he should be with us in a minute. But just thank you for being with us. I know we are on one place and light source, and and some of the episodes are not played at the same time. So if you hear of a comedian saying, "I'm going to be here on this date," check their website before you go and buy the tickets, or you go and try to find out to see them, because some of these episodes will be played later. And that's so Laughter for All podcast is not about just comedians being funny, or just trying to be, make people laugh. No, it's about being real. Comedians are real people. Comedians are dramatic people. Comedians are emotional people, and they get to open up, and they get to talk about their life, and they get to just be themselves. So that's what we try to get to. What was the trajectory of your career like? What were you doing? The challenges you had, the shows you remember, the funny thing that happened to you on the road, or the most embarrassing thing that happened. And then at the end, they get to share some wisdom with you, and if they feel comfortable, they can share their faith and whatever, and how they, their road with the Lord and their faith. So that's what it is. But also, we have a lot of people who are not comedians. We have surgeons, we have cardiologists, we have oncologists, we had Mrs. America, Mr. America, we had actors, we had musicians, we had the newsboys, we had Mac Powell from Third Day, who used to be Third Day, and different people, actors. We had people who are fighting sex trafficking. We had one young lady who lives in Pattaya, Bangkok, in Thailand, not in Bangkok, in Pattaya, Thailand, where the the hub of sex trafficking, and they have a ministry to help people there. So we talk to people we feel that really can influence your life, and touch your life, and help you. So it's very entertaining, very encouraging, and sometimes it's very, very funny. And we don't shoot for that, but it happens. When you're talking to a comedian, you're going to laugh, because we talk different, we talk funny. Well, my guest today is a wonderful, wonderful comedian that, this guy's been doing comedy for a long time. He's done clubs, he's done everything. He worked with Roseanne Barr, he worked with Louis Anderson, he worked with, he's with Norman Lear and all these guys. And he's been around for a long time doing clubs, but doing it clean. And I had the pleasure of working with him a couple times, I think. And I love this guy. I was watching his dry bar in just few minutes, and I was just dying. He is funny. He goes by the name the Village Idiot, and trust me, he is nowhere. He is an intelligent man, and his name is Joby Saad. So please welcome Joby. Hey, Joby.
Oh, Nazareth. Hey, how are you? I'm so really. You think I'm intelligent?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Well, so are you. Absolutely. Yes,
Well,
it's
you're
quite an
in
honor to
Nashville,
be.
right?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee. Absolutely. So
And
this is where it's all happening. Taylor Swift just sold out 3 shows this weekend at the Bridgestone Arena, and Nate Bargatze just sold out the Bridgestone Arena last week. Is that
really, a
amazing?
comedian.
Yeah, did you hear about that? Yeah, so it's like we're like the mecca of comedy now.
Now,
It's all happening right here.
how many seats does that arena hold?
Gosh, I forget. Like I don't know. I think it's like Is it 20,000?
Okay.
I think 16,000, maybe something like that. I think maybe 16,000.
And he sold it out.
Yeah, sold it out. So
That's
anyway, it's
awesome.
just a little small goal for us to strive for now that the bar is set.
Yes. I've done arenas. I've done it with people, not by myself. I mean, where it was
Mhm.
sold out. We had I had Shonda and me and others and Mark and different places. But I mean, it's a lot of. You've done arenas before in stadiums?
Well, not a whole lot. I mean, I did do the Bridgestone Arena
Right. How
years
was that?
ago. That was back. It was a big Christian conference here in Nashville. Back in, when was that? I think that was back in 2005.
Mm.
I want to say, I think it was 2005. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Were you on that? Did we do that show together?
I think so. I did several arenas. I mean, but I didn't have I had 5,000, 3,500. I've done bigger ones, but not, when you do, I'm trying to lead to this. When you do this big arenas, how big do you have to be yourself with your act? Because your act, when people watch you, your face is half of your show. Just
Mhm.
the expressions on
Well,
your face.
thank you. I'm trying to sell weak material, but yes, very good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've always been very expressive. I'm a big fan of, pantomime and all that kind of stuff. And so I actually competed. I was on the mime team in high school. And
Really?
yeah, I was on the mime team in high school. So uh, yeah.
Now, where did they come up with this term? And who labeled you the village idiot? Was that you? Was that a marketing trick?
Uh, uh,
Or-
let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of something that kind of happened. I mean, it was kind of a combination of factors, but I had the idea. I called, the name of my company is Village Entertainment,
Mm,
and so years ago I was living in West Hollywood, and I had a roommate, and I told my roommate, "Listen, we got to take a professional approach here. This is all business. We're not messing around anymore. This is it. Okay, we're gonna
mhm.
make this happen. So if anybody calls, remember." Uh, if anybody calls, just remember it's answer the phone, Village Entertainment. And so, so the phone would ring. Okay, my roommate would answer the phone and he would say hello, and I would say, "You idiot!" And then the caller would go, "Let me speak to the Village Idiot."
That's how it started.
So that was one of the key things, one of the key ways it started. So we all thought that was funny, and then I produced a show actually, and I produced a show on Melrose in West Hollywood, and Thor used to be on the show a bunch with me.
Which one is
And
that? Which
this
show?
it was at a place called Luna Cafe on
Luna
Melrose.
Cafe. Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Or Cafe Luna. So and so it was right down the street from the Groundlings,
Uh huh.
right on Melrose there. And so I titled the show "The Village Idiots" was the name of the show, and then I put together a tape of my show, and I wanted to title it something, and so I liked the name, so I used it, and when I put it together, I was looking at the image, the graphic imagery. I thought, I think I'd like for it to say "Village Idiot" bigger and make the name smaller. And so
Hmm.
they did that for me. And then I looked at it and I thought, I think I'd like to make Village Idiot even bigger. So I just kept messing around with it. And anyway, I don't know, it just seemed to work. And people, people instantly were able to remember my name. Remember it. And Joby Saad, my real name, people just they always get kind of tripped up over it. Nobody believed me that it was my real name, which it is. But I would always have to repeat myself. Joby Saad, what's your name? Joby Saad. Was Joey Sap? No. I mean, no, it's Joby Saad. I mean, it was just, I never, it never seemed to quite stick. But what's crazy is the shows that I did. What was it, 20 over 20 years ago, at that location on Melrose. they club that place went out of business, closed, and they reopened it, and they called it the Village Idiot.
Really?
So it was the Village Idiot restaurant on Melrose for, I believe, like the last I think 16 years.
Is it still on? I can go drive
They
by it.
they just closed just recently, just closed like a month ago. So
Wow.
that's just a little interesting.
So what was it? Well, let's get to the name. Joby Saad. You're Lebanese, right? Your dad is
Mhm.
Lebanese, or your whole family
Yeah,
is Lebanese?
yeah. My father was Lebanese. So
Did he
yeah,
migrate here, or was he born here?
yeah. No, he was born here in Nashville. So I'm a Nashvilleian. My great grandfather was born in Beirut
Okay.
on my
All right.
father's side, but my grandfather and my father, they were both born here in Nashville. So, but but that's just yeah, but that's another thing. People just I'm not what you would expect from a Nashvilleian. But this is
I know. I
the
never
Nashville
thought
looks like.
you. I thought you're from LA all along. Your accent, your everything, your demeanor. You're like from.
I've just wandered my whole life. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know. So
It's funny. It's funny how your name in Arabic and Lebanese means happy. Saad means happiness.
I'm so
Where,
glad
but
that
you
I
do
have
a
you.
joke here, call it sad, depressed, or
Yeah.
something.
Well, Joby, yes, Joby is actually a Hebrew name, means persecuted. So
Uh-huh.
persecuted and sad.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah.
No, what was it? What was it? I mean, when did you start comedy? What was your first gig like? Where was it, and what
Mm.
was it like?
Well, let's see. My first show was, gosh, I mean, first time I was on stage was at Zany's here in Nashville,
Uh-huh.
and I was part of a graduating class. It was a writing course, and our graduation ceremony was going to be at Zany's. So that was the first time I'd gone on stage at Zany's. But before that, I had done magic shows when I was a little kid. So I've been putting shows together since I was like 11 years old, 10,
Uh-huh.
11 years old. And so really my life hasn't changed much since then. But you know, but so yeah, that first night I went on stage. I wanted to do it so bad,
Mm.
and but I was so nervous about it. So I went down to the club every night almost for about a year, trying to build up the courage to
Mm.
go on to do the open mic night. So open mic, was Tuesday, and so I would, I had told a bunch of people I was, thinking about doing it, and I think I'm gonna go up next week, and I said that for about a year, you know, but thanks to Mike Price, who was a writer on the Bullwinkle cartoon,
Mhm.
thanks to him and Karen Haber, no, not Karen Haber, Karen Bowden,
Mhm.
who was married to Richard Bowden of Pinkert and Bowden, who were a comedy duo team. I took their writing course, and then went up on stage for the first time with the rest of my class, and then the person who headlined the show that night was Jim Varney.
Okay. Oh yeah. Very.
What a mean bird!
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah. Of course.
So he was like the biggest star in comedy out of Nashville, by far, and that was a pretty big deal. And then so I got to meet Jim Varney and talk to him, and he told me I was real funny, and he congratulated me after the show. And gosh, I mean, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing ever. So I never forget that. And in fact, he even told me that after that first night, he said, "You should move to LA."
Huh.
I said, "Really?"
Already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Immediately, the first time on stage, he goes, "You should move to LA and see Robin." And I said, Robin who?" He goes, "Robin Williams."
Hmm.
And what am I going to say? He said, tell him, ask him to help you. I
Wow.
go, he'll help me. He goes, he will if he likes you. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so it's kind of strange, but then I got to open up for Jim Varney several other times. He would pop into the club, and I ran into Bill Engvall,
Yeah.
Ball was performing at the club, and so I was an open micer at that point, and I'd been doing it for a few months. And I asked Bill Engvall, I said, how long does it take to become a professional,
Uh-huh.
comedian? And he says, "What, you mean get paid?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I guess for me it was about a year." And I just thought, oh, a year. Oh my gosh. So I thought, well, this is going to take a year before I get paid. So finally, after a year, my year was up. I talked to Lenny Sisselman, who was the manager of the club. And
Yeah.
I told him the good news that I've been doing open mics for a year, so I was ready to get paid. And that was probably my biggest laugh I had ever gotten from Lenny for my career. But as the Lord had blessed me, and Lenny had became my manager, and we had a great working relationship for a long time, and that's Lenny got me doing. He got me into the clubs, and then he got me doing Christian comedy many years later. And
Uh-huh.
that's how you and I met.
Yes. And so you started, and how old were you when you started doing comedy? About
I was 22.
and how long it took you to move to LA from that point on when you went first
10
time on
years.
stage?
10 years.
After 10 years, you moved to LA.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, almost. Yeah, almost 10 years. I'd been doing it a long time, and so to me, like the big thing was, you wanted to be a headliner.
Right.
That was the big thing. So I wanted to headline Zanies in Nashville because that was the big thing. And then I guess I did comedy for about 5 years, I would say 4 or 5 years. And I got my chance to headline a show in Chicago. And first time I headlined, Anthony Griffith was on the show.
Wow.
And he went up just before me and destroyed. He just was fantastic.
He
And
he was on this show, Anthony Griffin.
he was on. Oh, he's done your show.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I
done
love
this.
him. He's hilarious. He's great.
He's
And
great.
but I think I felt like because I was able to follow Anthony, that night in Chicago, I felt like I had done something. It
Mm.
really made it. It really made it a triumph. So I had done other shows, but that I don't remember.
But tell me, I don't want to interrupt your
Oh,
story, but tell me when you first time you featured and it was Louis Anderson or Roseanne Barr came and took over. Tell
oh
me
yeah.
about that.
Well, that was that was so I hadn't been doing comedy for about, well, I guess I've been doing it maybe for 2 years at that point.
Uh-huh.
It was in the in the 80s, and so I was featuring, and I really wasn't ready to feature. It was like my first time featuring, so I had to do a half hour, and I even added some magic tricks because I needed the time.
That doesn't count, man. It's okay.
Well, I thought, well, maybe this will work,
Uh-huh.
and it didn't.
It did.
It really did. So anyway, so Roseanne Barr and Louis Anderson popped into town, and they wanted to perform. They were going to do sets, and because they were friends with the headliner, who
Uh-huh.
was Steve Steich, he was the headliner. This was at the Covington, Kentucky, actually, Funny Bone. This
Uh-huh.
is a long time ago. So they told me that Louis Anderson is going to go up before you. And then I think Roseanne Barr went up after me, but I'm like, I have to follow Louis Anderson. Oh no, this is terrible. So he was super. He was really great, but I did not have a good set that night,
Oh man.
and I was feeling really low. But they were both really great to me. And Roseanne Barr was well known. She was a star from the Tonight Show. This is before she got her TV show.
Right.
And she was a star from the Tonight Show, and she was really nice. And she kind of, I don't know, you could say flirted with me maybe. But she kept grabbing my nose and going, honk, 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 honk. Don't you just love that? Don't you love that? And she just kept grabbing my nose and making sound effects, every time she did. She was funny, very funny. And she was really, really sweet. And yeah, I just couldn't believe it. It was a magical moment. and Louis Anderson asked me to go out with them, hang out after the show, and I was so depressed.
I don't blame you. I know the feeling. Yes.
I had a bad show in front of them. I'm like,
Mm.
I thought to myself, well, you don't want to hang out with me. I just had a bad show. Why are you even talking to me? Is what I was thinking. I was just so depressed. I was like, no, I don't think so. And I went to my hotel room, went upstairs to the hotel room, and I stared at the ceiling, and I thought, what's wrong with me? I could be hanging out right now with Louis Anderson and Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
So I ran back downstairs, and they were gone. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
But when was your
why are you
first?
making me relive this stuff, Nazareth? Why are you doing this to me?
But when was your first 30 minutes after that you did that bomb slammed?
That slammed? Oh, well, gosh, I don't know. It took me a while. I was very nervous, on stage. I was nervous in the beginning, so it really took me a while to kind of, for things to kind of start to click. But but after, gosh, I featured clubs all over the place. I used to work slapsticks in Atlanta quite a bit
Mhm.
for Chris DePetta, and that was a great club, and I opened there. But yeah, it just I don't it just took a while for things to gel. But things after about 5 years, 6 years, things really started to click, and a lot of my material that I had, I didn't really have the confidence. I just didn't have the confidence to sell it. And
Mm.
so it took me a while to develop the confidence. But once I got the confidence, and once I got the rhythm, and once I got the timing down, then suddenly it was just like boom. Then everything kind of started to fall into place. And then all my bits went from weak to killer.
It's
What I
the
mean?
way
It was
you
kind of a
you
transition. And
yeah.
I remember, Lenny started treating me nicer.
Was he your manager all along or no? He was just booking you.
Well, yeah, well, pretty much. He was managing the comedy club. He was managing Zanies,
Oh, okay.
and so it was because of him that I got to, work with all these great comedians and everything. And then, he saw me develop. He knew what I could do and where I came from, and he watched me, go from terrible to okay to pretty good, to, the whole thing. So, yeah, but there's these moments, it's the greatest feeling in the world to do a new routine or even an old routine, but have it land, everything hits. And especially if it's a bit you believed in, but it never worked. And you have to argue about it afterwards, and your friends telling you really need to get rid of that. You really need to drop that bit. That's never gonna. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, it kills. It works really well. I love doing. I had a little pantomime piece I loved doing. And it would be sometimes it would just be brutal. I mean, it would lay a big egg and bring the show to a halt.
And you continue with it or you can cut it short. Or you have
Yeah,
to
oh
do
yeah, I
it.
always cut it. My whole show is cut short. Is how I feel. You know what I mean? It's like I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I'm constantly throwing out something out. What about this? What about this? What about this? So in my mind, I feel like all my bits I cut short. Honestly.
I'm like you. I mean, I see comedians going like 5 minutes on one bit. I don't know. I can't do that. Even if I have the material for it, I just want to jump into the next bit and the next bit. I don't know if it's ADD or something, but
Well, I feel like I don't get, honestly, I miss those early days when everything was experimental, and
mm,
I would take more chances, really. But as you get older and you want to make a living and you want to appease your client, and so, you know, I did some interesting experiments years ago. Actually, I remember, because I got a lot of attention for certain routines. So I love doing little act outs, right?
mm,
So I would act out these little pieces. And so I remember I did this. I was working this was after I moved to LA. So I'd already been doing comedy 10 years.
Uh-huh.
and I did a show at the Ice House in Pasadena,
Yeah.
and I was on the show with Kostaki, Economopoulos. Do you know him? Do you know Kostaki?
No, I don't know him.
Yeah, great comedian, great guy. Well, he's highly accomplished, writer. He's written on some shows and stuff. But anyway, so I decided I would take out all the stand-up. Sometimes people would go on about how great some other comedian was, and I would get annoyed. I would be like, well, he just does the same joke over and over again.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah.
the same joke. It's the same joke over and over. I could do that. Yeah, anybody could do that. Like Stephen Wright.
Uh-huh.
He says the same joke. I mean, he's the great. He does one thing well, right?
Right.
And most comedians are that way. Most comedians, if you can do one thing well, then that's really more important, because you want to make a name for yourself. So I thought to myself, perhaps I should just focus on the little comedy scene act outs that I do, and take out my take out the punchlines, take out the jokes.
Okay.
But just as an experiment, I did that, and it worked. It worked, but it was interesting. It was really interesting how the audience reacted to it. I wasn't able. So the level of laughter that I would get, I wasn't able to get the same high level of laughter that I
Like
normally.
side-splitting laughter, yeah.
Right. So the level of comedy came down, but at the same time, I was approached after my show by a big time agent who gave me his card and told me to contact him. And he represents Leonardo DiCaprio and like all the A-list actors. But I was with him for a little while based on that one experimental show. I wasn't comfortable getting 60% laughs. I wanted the 100%. I wanted the big laughs, constant big laughs. So I went back to my old ways. I don't know. It's just
Now, when you moved to LA, what was on that plane flight coming to LA? What was the dream? What was the plan?
Well,
what
I
was
just
the
wanted to
dream?
be the next Nazareth. That was always my goal. It's the same thing for all
Well
of us.
done, son. Well done.
So yeah, I wanted to get on the Tonight Show, and I wanted to get on Letterman and all those kind of things. And I didn't do it. I didn't make it, Naz. Didn't quite make it, but got close, and
You didn't make it to the show, but you made it because you have. I mean, you've done the Reno, you've done Vegas, you've done all the major clubs, the A clubs in the country. I mean, you made it. Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
not like you do corporate. What made you do it clean all along?
Well, I wasn't clean all along. I started off very clean, and but honestly, out of necessity, I felt like I had to, in order to compete, I wanted to be a headliner, and so there wasn't really there weren't, there's all these variables of clean, but I threw in some expletives here and there in my show in the comedy clubs in the early days, because it got the big laugh. It got the biggest laugh, and it was just it was easy. I mean, it was just a walk in the park, So I threw that stuff in, and it was another layer that ramped up my show and allowed me to become a headliner. And I remember Lenny was telling me that he came to me and told me, he goes, "You're in a good position right now." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah, these LA comedians are charging so much money, and us club owners are not going to pay it. Well, guys like you that are doing good, that are strong, will start getting headline work." And I was like, "Oh." And I interpret that, and what that meant to me is I better move to LA, because that's all I heard. And he's like, so I'm thinking, oh, the LA guys are making all the money. Well, then that's where I should be then.
Okay.
That's what I thought. And he was trying to give me a heads up and let me know that, there's opportunity on the horizon. But I didn't I didn't want to be just a local comedy club headliner. I didn't want to be a comedy club headliner to the comedy club chains. I wanted to go all the way, you know.
Right. Have your own show. And you would be, I mean, still, I mean, I don't know why would people say, oh, well, I had my chance. No, you're still alive. You still have that chance. And when you
I
look
tell
at
people all the
people,
time, I'm alive.
yeah, you're alive. You still have the chance. But I can always see you in your own show, in your own, it's like that village idiot character. I mean, people who are watching and listening, I know, if you go to Joby Saad on YouTube and just watch that ice cream, that whole part just kills. It's just amazing. And it
Well,
just and that's you. That's your personality. That's your character,
I
and it's
I
amazing.
I'll tell you that I enjoyed putting that together. If I had, I need to. I really want to get back to that and start doing more of those kind of things. It's money. It was money. I mean, honestly, that little video that I made. I mean, this was a long time ago, but I spent like 10 grand making that video.
Really,
Yeah, I know. Nobody, yeah, and I know nobody believes it. Most of that, and a lot of that was I've spent just on the editing.
on the
No, I
editing.
didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do that stuff. So I had to everything it had to be fine. It had to be really fine tuned, and so yeah, so
And now, you know what? Now it used to be people have to come and see you in the club, but now with all social media, you can put that bit on social media, and you'll never know who's gonna call you and just gonna have you come and
mhm.
it's like, hey, you're gonna be perfect for this part or this stuff. But when did you clean it up again, Joby?
Clean it up again. Oh, well,
Not
you
like you were dirty, it was you were throwing words here and
yeah,
there, but
no, but I mean, my manager, Lenny Sisselman, he got me on the National Pastors Conference in
mhm.
San Diego,
Oh
and
yeah, I've done
that
that.
was back in 2003, I think it
Uh-huh.
was, or maybe 2003 or
The
2004.
Zandervan Pastors Conference at the
Yeah.
convention center in San Diego. Yeah, I've done
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah,
That was gold, man. That was a
yeah,
lot of work.
yeah. Are they still
Pulling out
doing
of
that? I
it.
wonder.
No, no, they stopped doing it. But
Yeah,
those were the like one show you kill and you get bookings for the rest of the year.
yeah. So it worked the same way NACA works and APCA, which was a
Yeah, yeah.
college bookings. So it was the same kind of thing, and so yeah, you could book up your whole year from one showcase. So I booked a lot of churches through that showcase. That's been a long time ago, but
And
that was really great. And
because you were
Lenny,
great, you weren't political, you were clean. I mean, I
yeah,
can see where a lot of what is your system of how do you taking a bit from zero to it's getting killer laughs. What's your process like?
um, well, I just you just have an idea, you try it out, and we were talking a little bit about that earlier today, but I don't it's so gratifying to just create something on the spot, you know
Mm.
perhaps too much so I don't have the discipline that I used to have to sit down and write out a long piece and everything, and it's so much fun just to work it out on stage, you
Hmm.
know that I'll just, I don't know, I'll just take an idea and play around with it. But
On stage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of let the audience guide me a bit. The audience, if they laugh, I mean, if they like it, I'll just keep going. And it's great. And you know, I love doing characters and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I even experimented with for a while in drag. I did a drag show.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Leslie, Leslie Norris.
Yes, I had her on the podcast. I love Leslie.
Okay, yeah.
Sweet, sweet
So
lady.
she thought it would be funny. It would be the funniest thing in the world if I dressed up as a woman.
Back then, it was very funny. Yes, not today, but yeah, keep
I was
going.
like, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm not really into that. And she's like, oh, it would be so funny. And my mother did the same thing. My mother tells me all the time about how funny, what is it? Some Like It Hot, with Tony Curtis and
Uh-huh.
what's his name? Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. She's like, that is the funniest movie in the world. If you dressed up like a woman, every time there's an opportunity, like they were looking for a host for was it Kelly Ripa? So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
mom thought I should just dress up in drag and go down there and audition. I'm
And
like,
replace what's his name?
yeah,
Back.
Michael Strahan
Yeah.
was getting the job. I'm like, Mom, I have a show already. I don't need another. What? I don't need another character. I have a character.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
So you did?
So I finally broke to the pressure, and I finally did it on dressed up. And I told Leslie, I said, well, the only way I would ever do something like that is if I could do I would do my aunt, because I love my aunt Elizabeth, and she used to she would hire me when I was a kid to do magic shows, and so that was a big force, that was a big form of encouragement at a very young age, that what I was doing was good, funny, and worthy, So I just thought it would be great to honor her, and I just love the character, So, so I did it. So I put on the whole thing, the wig and the whole everything, and put on a dress, and I came out on stage, and I was like, "How are y'all doing? I'm so glad. I want to thank everybody that worked so hard to put this show together. There's a lot of work and effort that goes into producing a big show like this, and there's a reason why Jesus, he didn't like to perform a lot of miracles, except the one time when his mother was working as an event planner." And so I did all that, and it worked, and everybody laughed, and it went great. So I did it a little bit longer, and wound up eventually I did a whole 35-minute show as the character. And but anyway, it worked, great. I remember I did a show down in Lake Elsmore, California.
Elsinore.
Yeah,
Lake
Lake
Elsinore. Yeah, that's
Elsmore.
very close to me.
Yeah, so I was just thinking. So I did a big church show there. I remember this little kid came up to me afterwards and tugged on my shirt, and she goes, "Mister, Mister, Mister." I go, "Yeah." She said, I think that Aunt Elizabeth, I think you should have done your whole show as the Aunt Elizabeth.
What do people do when you take it off and you show them that it's you?
Well, it's funny. It really kind of worked better as just as a goof. Rather, I didn't really need to take it to that far a level, So, but anyway, I had a few incidents. I did have one incident where it was I did it dressed up. I did a show actually, and I thought to myself, it's it's a Southern character, so I knew it was going to work in the South, but I didn't know if it was going to go over in California. I don't know if it'll work in the North, and I don't know about this. So, but I thought to myself, well, I did a show at what was it? Flappers in Burbank.
Flappers, yeah. Up in
Did a
Hollywood.
show at Flappers,
And,
and I thought to myself, well, if it goes over in L.A. in front of a room full of comedians, then it will probably go over anywhere.
how long ago you did Flappers?
Well, this was probably about 6 years ago.
Oh, before COVID, yeah, it was
Been a while ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while ago. And anyway, it was a train wreck. It's like, so I actually had to follow this. I had to follow another comedian who was gay,
Oh,
and he was very dirty,
mm.
and he went into explicit detail.
Ouch.
And so I thought to myself, well, this is not exactly the setup I was hoping for. So
So you cut that part.
So no, when I went up on stage and just bombed, I mean, it was just everybody, so I just went up as dressed in drag. And I went up in character, and hello, everybody. I'm so happy y'all are all here together. This is so beautiful. Like a big hand for the other performer you just saw on stage, And everybody was just shocked. It was just stunned.
Did they knew you were the guy when you did Aunt Elizabeth or no?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
they knew.
yeah, they knew, but it just after what they had just heard prior, I wasn't going to get any laughs dressing up as a woman. You know what I mean? So anyway,
so now let's switch
right?
this a little bit so people
Yeah.
when they watch it they know. If you're comfortable, tell me about your faith
Very
walk.
comfortable.
Your
Yes.
faith walk. Are you a believer in Christ? I mean, where was that? When did that start? How is that?
Yes. Well, I was born and raised Catholic.
Uh-huh.
So I'm Catholic, and so I go to church, here with my family, and I have great respect and appreciation for pretty much any of the churches that will invite me to their church, like all of them, So, so I think it's great. My Christian friends, are always invite me to come over to their church, which I appreciate, enjoy. My Jewish friends never invite me to synagogue. So I don't know what that is, but I have a fascination with with what's it called? With the Jewish faith, and but it's really hard to get into if you're not born Jewish,
Right.
What are we going to do?
Yeah, it's difficult and requires surgery too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So did that was any part of help, keeping your act clean? Did that play a role in it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was such a big fan of comedy when I was a young kid. And so, I mean, I listened to all the comedy albums, and I just loved the Marx Brothers, and, I loved Charlie Chaplin, which Charlie Chaplin's not Jewish, but I think he is.
He is.
I think he says he's not.
No, he is. Charlie Chaplin. He said he's not?
Yeah, he says he's not.
Well, back then, they didn't want to be identified as.
Well, no. I mean, he made the iconic film, The Great Dictator. And no, but what he would always say is, I do not have the honor.
Okay. So he was not. I didn't know that.
But yeah, no, but anyway, yeah, I suspect he might be Jewish and not know it. I know this may sound a little crazy, but look, I don't know. Look, I've done what they say commonly right now. I did a deep dive. That's the phrase everybody loves to use now, deep dive. But I've read a ton of stuff about Chaplin and all that kind of stuff. So, he was like a street kid in England. He didn't know his father, and his mother was institutionalized at a really young age. So, and he had a brother, and him and his brother came to the United States, I guess, together. And but him and his brother don't look a whole lot alike, and his father wouldn't have anything to do with him. And so I theorized that perhaps his father wasn't his real father. And his mother went to the nut house and was institutionalized for a long time. And back in those days, it wasn't, if you had a child out of wedlock, you didn't brag about it.
Right.
It was a different time, a different era. So, so the fact that Charles Chaplin Sr. had wanted to have nothing to do with him makes me suspect. See what I'm saying?
Yes, but you know what? I'm listening to a book right now on
Mm,
Audible. It's called The Comedians, and they talk about the history of comedy. And when you think of the vaudeville days with Chaplin and
mhm.
the poor conditions and the lack of money and the hardship that this comedian went through to even make it, and they were saying that one time the Groucho Marx and his the Marx family, their mom was their manager, Groucho and Harpo and all this, and they were
Mhm.
performing. They were making good money. And then I think Groucho was in Canada. He saw Chaplin, and he told his mom. He said, "We need to work with this guy." And they kind of helped him a little bit. But then he said, a few years later, we went to LA. And this guy owned a huge home, and he had all the money. So
Yeah.
it was very difficult, the situation. I mean, we are so blessed to have green rooms and be able to get
Yeah.
paid and all that. So what was it, the clubs? So most you do clubs and you do churches, and how much of that act is the same?
Well, it's a similar. It's just I have my act, or I actually have maybe perhaps two acts,
Mm.
and so there's how it is. There's variables, but there's what's interesting is there's some things in my show that just always work. It always works, and when you're getting paid to
Mhm.
entertain and perform, it's hard to deviate from that.
Exactly. You wanna do your best job,
You
right?
always wanna do your best, and there's so many variables, and it's not just about it's not just about I mean, you always wanna do a great show. I mean, I don't know, I remember Paula Poundstone told me that she likes to do her new material right up front, you know?
Wow,
And so she would always dedicate her first 5 or 10 minutes on stage to whatever her new idea was, you know?
that's interesting.
And I never could do that. I never felt comfortable doing that.
I
I
can.
I wanted to get those big laughs right up front,
Yep, hit him hard.
and, you know I mean, the thing of it is, if I had become a bigger star, then I probably wouldn't be able to get away with doing the same joke in my opening,
Right.
or the same method or whatever. But it just always works, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I kinda stick to a template, so to speak, and then I
I'm
deviate here and there, and that once I'm in the door, and
I'm
once the
like
laughs
you.
are coming in, then I'll try out something different, then I'll do something new, but I don't really feel comfortable doing that until I'm on stage for at least probably 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you
Eh,
know, and
yeah, I'm like you. I go on stage, I kinda have that template if I know what am I gonna do. But if I'm doing great, and I would deviate and then try new stuff or try to add to a joke or try to do something different, but that's
I did a when I did my dry bar, I
yeah.
was I did
Tell me
my
about that. How was that? What was that like? When was it?
you did it
Before?
you did it too you
I
did
did
it
it.
for
I
me.
did it before COVID.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, so did I. Yeah, I did too. I did mine in I don't know, what was it, 2019? I think it
Yeah,
was.
me too. Great audience.
20 yeah, I think it was. It was great crowd, I was the first comedian. So they had been they'd been producing 2 comedians each production.
Uh-huh.
And so by the time I got there, they had decided, let's do 3 comedians.
Exactly. That's what
I
I
had to
did. 3.
follow 2 other comics. So, and that was a little bit harder. I mean, the show, by the time I went on stage, the show had already gone over 2 hours. You know what
Wow.
I mean? So
Oh,
they
so they had 3 45 minutes back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Oh, that's
I mean, just with the production crew and all that kind of stuff. So you know what that means. Obviously you want an audience that's fresh.
right.
But it was still a great crowd, they were a great crowd, and you know what else? What's really interesting to me is Provo, Utah has always had the reputation of having clean comedy shows.
Right.
They
Because of
were
the moment.
always that way, and when I got started in the very beginning, I had friends of mine tell me, for a long time, you should do Joe B's. I think it was what it was called, Joe B's Comedy Club. Because
Joe.
it almost had my name.
Yeah, Joby's.
so it was Joby's Comedy Club. Oh, they would love you. You were great. So Salt Lake City, Utah, and Provo, Utah, was always had the reputation of having an appreciation for clean comedy. I mean, the audiences establish the club. So whatever the demand is, that's what the club is going to serve.
Right.
So Utah always had a great reputation for that. So it's not surprising that Dry Bar would be created there, because that's the way it always had been,
Right.
So so I was all pumped up, and I had decided I was going to do all new material
Oh no. Oh no.
for my taping.
Did you?
No, not at all.
No, I would not. Of
But
course.
but after all these other factors going in, and then having to, and the show being so long and running so late before I even went on stage, I thought, well, I better not take, I can't afford to take that chance,
Right.
But so that jacket that I had on had a white
I
lining.
saw that.
And so my plan was I was gonna turn it inside out, and it was gonna look like it was a medical coat, and I was gonna do a whole doctor routine about how I love to go into the waiting areas and try to siphon off customers from the doctors. I like to give people medical advice. I try to convince people. I like to go to the doctor's office and waiting areas and try to convince people to not see the doctor and instead take my advice.
That's funny. Have you ever tried that?
Not a little bit, just like what I said to you just now. But but I haven't done the whole full. I got like a whole long routine, but I've not really worked it in on stage because it takes.
But
takes
that's a
time.
video bit. That's a bit you can do like a sketch,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, it would
tape
be a
it and put it out.
sketch, but so anyway, so I've had some success. I have led some people, to health, to greater health, and I've had some of the patients that when I take my mom to the doctor, I've run into them again. They're like, "Oh, I tried what you told me. Thank you so much. That what you suggested really helped my stomach." I'm like, "Oh, great." But so that part's working out. I'm saving lives, in healthcare, but I haven't figured out how to bill the patient.
Uh, that,
So that's
uh,
that's the only trick.
that's funny. We have 100 people watching right now,
We
and
do?
Rich
This is
Jones.
unbelievable.
He said, I remember seeing Joby on Crook and Chase. First time I met him was at Wiley's in Dayton. I remember seeing him on there.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wiley's who
at
said this?
Wiley's in Dayton. That's Rich Jones. He's a comedian, young comedian
Oh, Rich, good old Rich. Yeah, he's
from
hilarious.
Ohio.
Guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, Rich Jones. Yeah,
yeah.
funny guy, Rich. Yeah,
And
Rich.
Earl Music said two of my favorite people on one podcast. I love Earl. He's a great guy. The guy that
Earl's, yeah,
the cartoonist and the comedian.
yeah.
2 in 1. So tell me, Joby, what do you think? What are you planning to do like right now? What are you working on? What are you thinking of working on?
Well, you'll just think I'm crazy. I can't really tell you. I'm
Okay.
afraid you'll make fun of me.
Oh, okay. Then
So no, anyway, so I'm actually co-producing the Italy Comedy Festival.
oh, okay.
So I'm doing a big show in Italy with a good friend of mine, Scott Shanahan.
In English, right?
Yeah, well, we're doing both. We're doing Italian and English speaking shows. And so anyway, so we have 4 shows. Is that right? 4 shows planned right now in a great venue, and I can't remember the name of the venue right now. It's in Italian, so sometimes it's a little tricky for me to remember. But anyway, we're doing that. So that's going really great. And then we also have some English speaking shows, and then the main stage show. We get the big show is at the Teatro Niccolini, which is it's like the second oldest theater in the world.
Mm.
It's built in 1680, so some time ago. And so anyway, it's this really cool theater, and I just thought, well, if we could get this would be phenomenal. So we got it. So so we're doing a comedy benefit concert for Ukrainian children.
Mm,
So there's this it's an organization that we're raising money for called We Are All Ukrainians
mm.
.de, which
Okay.
I believe I actually think they're located in
In
Germany,
Germany.
and
Yeah.
it's an organization, great organization. They do a lot of work. It's all about world peace and a lot of peacekeeping missions and helping families get away from all the war,
Yeah.
and they do a lot of life-saving work. And it was endorsed by Vladimir Klitschko, who's the former heavyweight champion. I don't know.
Mm.
Do you follow boxing at all?
I love boxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so it's Vladimir Klitschko. I actually met him here in Nashville. He was
Huh.
actually working out at my gym. And I was like, "Yeah, you look like one of those boxing brothers." And he's like, "Yeah, people tell me that." I'm like, "Oh gosh, you sound just like him too." And
That's
so
funny. He
I
lives in
thought to myself,
Nashville?
yeah, so yeah, he was here in Nashville. So I thought to myself, well, what in the world would the heavyweight champ be doing here at my gym?
Uh-huh.
And but he at the time he was married, or I'm not sure if they were technically married or not, but he had a child with Hayden Panettiere, who's
Uh,
the star of the TV show Nashville. So
mm.
so they were together, and she lives here in the neighborhood, or she did. And so it was him, it was him. So anyway, he's a great guy, and I really have great respect and admiration for him and all the things he's done. And
So how
he's
long are you gonna be in Italy?
so well. It's just a week. We're doing The show is June the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and so the big show is on the 23rd at the Teatro Niccolini, and I'm really excited about it. Jimmy Schubert is going to be doing the show with me,
Mm,
and we're going to have a bunch of other comedians on the show. I'm not not at liberty to say,
right.
and I don't know. It sounds crazy, probably. We actually put in an offer to. I shouldn't say this. I don't know. How many people you think watch this show?
Well, the video, I don't know because once it goes on YouTube, it will be forever, and
Yeah,
then audio will have 9 million now on one place and the
yeah.
other one. So yeah.
Well, we have an offer. We got an offer in, and my partner and I got some other people working on it. But we're trying to get Al Pacino.
Oh, to do comedy
Well, he's to perform, just to
to
perform
perform.
on the show. So in whatever capacity Al Pacino wants to perform.
Uh-huh.
So I figured, I kind of feel like I think if we're gonna do an Italian festival, we should probably get an Italian.
Yeah.
You know, I think that
Yeah, that he would be. He's the Italian icon, right?
yeah,
Is he Italian even, or that's his
yeah,
name?
yes.
What about De Niro? What's the matter with you?
Oh yeah, yeah. De Niro would be great too, but yeah, he's not. But De Niro's not doing a show. But anyway, Al Pacino just earlier this year, he's been touring Europe doing a one-man show.
Hmm.
So, and I actually saw Al Pacino do a presentation, so to speak.
Hmm.
He screened a movie of his. It was a great movie. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was a real low budget movie that he made himself with him and Jerry Orbach.
Uh-huh.
And It was a great movie, but it was made me a little uncomfortable because it was a little too close to home for me.
Wow.
About these two struggling actors living in New York, trying to make it, you know. But anyway, so he presented it at the Silent Movie Theater on Fairfax
Hmm.
in West Hollywood. Do you know where I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's been so many years ago. Few years, been probably about 7 years ago, maybe. So anyway, so he's been doing this one-man show around Europe. So it would be so great if we could entice him to join us on our big on our
Well,
show.
well, you have Kip Adata and Dom Herrera, who are both Italian comics.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I love Dom Herrera. And who else did you say?
Kip Adata. Remember Kip
Oh,
Adata?
yeah, he passed away.
Did he?
Yeah, but we could probably get him.
Yeah. Over the time. Hey, I can get him for you. It's just you have a shovel. I can get him for you. It's funny. I was reading his book. Oh, he
Who?
died. Oh,
Yeah, he
okay.
may not have, he may have left it out of the book. A lot
Th-
of people that write those, yeah, they don't
They
they
leave
didn't
the dying part out.
right.
Like Moses, but he wrote it in. Oh, that's funny. So, how can people get a hold of you to book you for their church, for their event, for their, corporate,
Well,
for
you can go
their
to my web. Thank you for asking. You can go to my website, jobysad.com,
Joby what?
Joby,
Joby
Joby
said,
Sad,
yeah,
or Joby,
GOBYSAAD. I mean, let me put it here.
or just
Uh,
Joby Comedy works too. JOBY Comedy, jobycomedy.com.
.com. Here we go.
Same thing.
Yeah, jobycomedy.com, and people can, yeah, Joby is hilarious. Yeah, go watch him now, because see, I can't put it before the podcast and stuff, because then we'll get the copyrights and all that problems I didn't want to deal with. But go to
Oh,
YouTube and put Joby Sad, or go to Dry Bar and put Joby Sad, and just you're gonna laugh. I guarantee you're gonna laugh so hard. Just, I mean, the whole hey there Delilah. I mean, that just killed me, because my
oh,
dog's name is Delilah,
oh,
and I
really?
love this. Oh yeah, and that whole, in your head with the alarm, it just kills people. So
Well,
very funny, very different. There's nobody else doing what Job is doing, and it's just amazing, because you can have senior citizen in the same room, and they will all get it, and they will all laugh at the same time. Just an
yeah,
amazing, funny guy.
I mean, that's the greatest feeling in the world is when you can do a show, when you can do a joke and get multi generations to laugh at the same joke. You know what I
Right.
mean? You do that.
Exactly.
You do that, Nas. You're
Yes.
great at that, you
Yeah,
know?
as long as they're all together. Now you put junior highs by themselves. I can volunteer, but I can't perform for them. But
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
really? I
yeah,
was
yeah.
surprised to hear you
I
say
paid
that.
my dues. I paid my dues.
I
Uh,
love doing junior high shows. I
you
just
would
did a
be
big
great. Yeah, you would do great, because of your act, the way you act. See, mine is all about, the cognitive. You gotta think it before you laugh, and
well,
after
I was never really into doing like marriage material. And of course I'm not married,
you're single. Yeah.
which is a sore spot for me, really. But
No, you're still available and single. Ladies, ladies. Joby is single, available, lives in a city that everybody wants to move to, Nashville,
Nashville,
Tennessee.
Tennessee. But I was such a fan of comedy when I was young that I didn't like any of the comedians that talked about marriage because I just
Hmm,
thought it was boring.
that's
So
interesting.
when I was young, I didn't want to get married because I didn't want to have a married comedy show. You know what I mean? So I just, I remember watching, Merv Griffin. I remember watching Dinah Shore,
Uh-huh.
and Jay Leno would come on, or some of these other comedians would come on, and they would talk about being married. They would do marriage jokes, and I just thought it was so boring. And I just
Mm,
thought, well, I will never do that. So
wow.
I think it served me in my beginning, but it perhaps has come back to bite me in my
It
later
did.
years, but how it is. You develop a philosophy early on about what comedy is and what it's supposed to be, and that's
Right.
what you hold on to, right? I mean, do you have like a particular philosophy about your comedy approach, or about what you want to present and what you don't want to present?
That's a good question, because it changes as you grow. The longer I've been in comedy, the more I want to do material that people can relate to and feel at the same time.
Hmm.
Where before I used to go, this is funny, this is gonna make them laugh, I'm just gonna do it. But now I'm getting to a point like, okay, this bit I know is gonna get a big laugh, but is this something that people gonna feel that, I relate to this, or I can feel, get a feeling, not just laughter, not sadness, but a feeling. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm going for. And it kind of works, because now people become groupies or become fans when they can feel that you relate to them, and you're like them, and you've been through the struggle. So I talk about struggles in my life, in my family, and all that. But you don't want it to make it depressing. Other people go, oh, I came here to laugh and look at him, reminding me. You want to do it in a funny way, but
Sure.
they can go, wow, I relate to this guy, and I do talk about marriage. I've been married 26 years, so I have a whole bit. Like a whole bit to me is 5 minutes. I mean, the different bits and different in
Mhm.
one chunk.
I'm sorry.
But
I didn't mean to step on your toes when I said I didn't
yeah, I
like.
was offended by that. I'm like, wow, I should have never got married. No, but it's awesome. It's funny how it's been an hour and 5 minutes, and
Is it really?
yes, can you believe it? And
No.
when I tell people we're gonna go for an hour, they're like, "What are we gonna talk about?" I'm like, I had no questions. In fact, I put some questions here and I never even asked them, so I'll save them for next time. But
Okay. Well,
but
congratulations on the success of your podcast.
it took 3.5 years, but it's praise God, it's doing well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
A lot of my
I
friends talk
I
about it.
appreciate you. I thank you for taking the time, Joby. My daughter may be going to Vanderbilt for law school, so you'll be seeing a lot more of
Oh,
me
this is very exciting. No
in
kidding.
in Nashville. Yes,
Was just there earlier today.
in Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt campus. I was at the
Do you know
Vanderbilt.
anybody there?
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it. I don't know
Let's talk
anybody there.
about it after. Just stay close. Don't leave yet.
Okay,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joby. You're
thank you.
amazing. Gu-
Absolutely.
gu- Guys, if you really have the opportunity to go see him live, you go. If you can't, just go to YouTube or go to Drybar or Facebook and just watch his material. The ice cream bit on YouTube is a killer. The guy is hilarious, funny, clean. It's a great comedy. Also, so today is, if you watch this in any other year, today is May 9th, 2023. So this Saturday morning, I'm going to be at a men's conference that it will be myself and uh, the the Navy SEAL Chad Williams, former U.S. Navy SEAL, and also Kenny Locke, who's the founder of Every Man's Ministry. I mean, just a powerful lineup, not because I'm in it, but it just a feel. So if ladies send your, it's going to be in Corona at North Point Church. So if you get hearing this live, and send your husband, send your son, send your dad to come and be there. It's $20 for from 9 to 12. Well worth it. You'll laugh, you will be encouraged and empowered. So that's it. And then that afternoon, that evening, I'm going to be in Irvine, California at Love Irvine. I'm doing a gala fundraiser for they're going to raise funds for Marines and other people. So please be there. Check it on my website, how you can get tickets and how you can be there. All righty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Please subscribe. Please let your friends know about the show and subscribe to the show. And if you want to donate, there's a donate thing. You can donate to laughterforall.org. And just, we've been doing this show for free for 3.5 years. So if you want to donate and support that work, that would be great. If not, God bless you. Keep watching. We're going to continue on. So thank you so much, and God bless you, and thank you for watching. Have a great night.